Long before the myths of Atlantis ever reached our ears, there was another ancient land, a sacred place lost to time and memory, known as Lemuria. Some call it Mu, others whisper its name during meditation or dream journeys. But no matter how you hear it, Lemuria holds a vibration that stirs something deep within the soul. Imagine a civilization not built on war or power, but on harmony, intuition, love, and spiritual wisdom. A place where human beings were fully connected to nature, to each other, and to the divine. Where technology was not metal and machines but frequency, sound, energy, and pure intention. This was not just a legend, not just a forgotten continent, but a spiritual memory that lives inside many of us. A calling that some feel without ever knowing why. Have you ever looked at the ocean and felt a strange sense of home? Or heard the soft voice of your heart guiding you towards something you can't quite explain? If so, this video is for you, because today we are diving deep into the full story of Lemuria. We will explore where it came from, why it disappeared, and most importantly, what it means for you as a spiritual seeker in this lifetime. The mystery of Lemuria. Lemuria is one of the most mysterious and fascinating lost civilizations ever spoken of. Its story has been passed down through spiritual teachings, esoteric knowledge, and ancient whispers that seem to transcend both time and geography. Many people believe Lemuria existed long before Atlantis, as a vast continent that stretched across the Pacific Ocean, connecting parts of what we now call Asia, Australia, South America, and even Africa. The name Lemuria was first introduced in the 19th century by scientists trying to explain the presence of similar species like lemurs on distant continents. They believed a sunken landmass once connected these regions, allowing species to migrate across it. Though this theory was eventually dismissed by mainstream science, something much deeper remained because spiritualists and mystics began to speak of Lemuria not as a scientific theory, but as a real place that once held an enlightened and peaceful civilization. To those on a spiritual path, Lemuria is far more than a lost continent. It is a symbol of divine connection, a time when humanity lived in perfect balance with earth and spirit. The Lemurian way of life. It was believed to be a paradise where the people were gentle, intuitive, and deeply loving. They lived not through ego or separation, but through unity and awareness. They did not speak through words, but through telepathy, energy, and emotion. Their technology was not physical, but vibrational. Lemurians are said to have lived in harmony with nature, communicating with plants, animals, and even the elements. They built their society around spiritual growth, compassion, and collective consciousness. Every soul had a purpose, and every being lived in alignment with that purpose. Many believe Lemuria was the birthplace of spiritual knowledge on Earth, the origin of many healing modalities, the source of crystal wisdom, sound healing, and energy work that continues to be rediscovered today. It is said that when Lemuria fell, its knowledge was hidden deep within the earth, within crystals, within sacred sites, and most powerfully, within the DNA of those who once lived there. Lemuria as a path to awakening. When we ask, what is Lemuria? We're not just talking about a physical place. We're talking about a forgotten chapter of human consciousness, a memory that continues to echo in the hearts of those who feel the call to awaken, to return to that state of peace, love, and divine connection. And now that the earth is shifting once again, many believe it is time to remember Lemuria, not as a myth, but as a path back to who we truly are. Lemuria are presents the divine feminine energy, the nurturing force of unconditional love, emotional intelligence, and inner knowing. It was a civilization that honored intuition as the highest form of wisdom, where every individual was deeply connected to the earth, to the stars, and to each other through the heart. Unlike Atlantis, which symbolized the masculine intellectual and technological path, Lemuria flowed with emotion, harmony, and spiritual depth. It was not focused on conquering or building empires, but on evolving the soul, expanding compassion, and living in alignment with the natural rhythms of the universe. The fall of Lemuria and its legacy. The people of Lemuria are said to have lived in a state of pure awareness, their third eye open, their hearts wide, and their spirits unburdened by ego or fear. They practiced telepathy, communicated through light and sound frequencies, and healed not with medicine, but with energy and intention. They saw each other as divine reflections of Source. This is why the story of Lemuria resonates so strongly with spiritual seekers, because it mirrors the kind of life so many of us are longing to return to. A life of peace, balance, trust in the unseen, and unity with all that is. We are not just remembering Lemuria as a place. We are remembering it as a frequency that lives within our soul. Many believe that those who feel drawn to Lemuria today are star seeds or soul fragments from that time, returning in this era to help raise the vibration of the planet, to anchor in love, healing, and divine wisdom. Perhaps you've always felt different, sensitive to energy, deeply connected to the ocean or the stars. Or maybe you've had dreams of floating cities, underwater temples, or ancient beings calling your name. These are not accidents. These are echoes, signs that your soul remembers. The call of Lemuria, a soul awakening. The more you open yourself to this energy, the more your spiritual gifts begin to awaken. Lemuria calls us not to escape reality, but to bring higher consciousness into reality, to live with compassion, to lead with the heart, and to heal not just ourselves, but the collective. The spiritual significance of Lemuria lies in its ability to activate something deep within us, to remind us that we are not separate, that we are sacred, and that we carry the codes of ancient wisdom within our very being. As the world begins to shift into a new era of awakening, Lemuria is no longer just a memory. It becomes a guiding light, leading us back to the truth of who we are. The story of Lemuria begins in a time when the Earth was still young, when the energies of the planet were softer, more fluid, and more aligned with higher dimensions. It is said that the Lemurians were among the first advanced beings to inhabit this realm, their souls choosing Earth as a place to anchor light, spread love, and explore the beauty of physical existence while remaining deeply connected to the divine. Lemurian society and its spiritual practices. The Lemurians came from the stars, from places like the Pleiades, Sirius, and other high-frequency systems. They chose Lemuria as their home not to dominate or control, but to create a paradise, a peaceful civilization built on compassion, spiritual growth, and harmony with nature. Their rise was not about conquest. It was about consciousness. They lived in unity, understanding that all life is sacred, and that everything is connected through the web of energy that flows through the universe. The Lemurian society grew slowly and gently. Their cities were not made of stone and steel, but of crystal light and organic forms, blending into the landscapes, rising like songs from the earth. They lived in deep communion with the oceans, the mountains, and the skies. and many believe they could shift between dimensions, traveling through light portals and connecting with beings from other realms with ease. The imbalance between Lemuria and Atlantis. During this golden age, there was no war, no competition, no hierarchy. Instead, there was a collective focus on healing, wisdom, and soul evolution. The Lemurians lived in tribes and soul groups, each with their unique role and spiritual purpose. Some were healers, some were teachers, some worked with sound, others with crystals. All were guided by intuition and love. But like all things in this realm of duality, even the merest paradise would face a change. As time passed, the energy of the earth began to shift. Lower vibrations started to rise, and a new consciousness began to take hold in some parts of the world. It is said that Atlantis began to rise during this period, and while Atlantis focused on technology and logic, Lemuria remained heart-centered and spiritual. This imbalance created tension between the two. The fall of Lemuria was not sudden, it was gradual, like a slow wave that began to pull at the edges of the island. Some say there were massive earth changes, volcanic eruptions, shifts in tectonic plates, and great floods that swallowed the land. Others believe that the fall was a conscious decision, that the Lemurians knew their time was ending, and so they returned to the inner earth, to other star systems, or to the spiritual realms. Lemuria wisdom and its rebirth. Many believe that before the destruction, the Lemurians encoded their wisdom into crystals, sacred sites, and the DNA of their descendants. They created temples beneath the seas and buried healing technologies deep within the earth to be discovered when humanity was ready to rise again. Some say that remnants of Lemuria still exist in places like Hawaii, Easter Island, Mount Chesta, and even the Andes. These locations are believed to be energetic portals, places where the Lemurian frequency is still strong, waiting for those who are ready to remember. The fall of Lemuria was not a tragedy. It was a transformation, a part of the great cycle of rise and fall, birth and rebirth. It served as a lesson for all of humanity, a reminder that when we drift too far from love, from harmony, from connection, even the greatest of civilizations can dissolve. But the soul of Lemuria never died. It simply went within, waiting for the time when the world would be ready once more to live in peace, to honor the earth, and to walk the path of the heart again. The wisdom of Lemuria for our modern world. In a world filled with noise, chaos, and constant striving, the wisdom of Lemuria comes as a gentle whisper, a sacred reminder to slow down, to breathe, and to return to the heart. Though the land of Lemuria may be lost beneath the ocean, its spirit is rising once more, calling out to those who are ready to live with intention, to reconnect with the earth, and to awaken the ancient knowing that still lives within. Lemurian wisdom teaches us that we are not separate from nature. We are not above it or beyond it. We are part of its living soul. Just as the Lemurians honored the oceans, the trees, the animals, and the sky, we too are being called to remember that the earth is a living being, a conscious force. And when we treat her with respect and love, she responds with abundance, clarity, and healing. Another key teaching from Lemuria is the power of the heart. The Lemurians lived through the heart. They communicated through feeling, through deep emotional intelligence. They trusted their inner voice more than logic, more than rules, more than outside opinions. And this is something we must remember today. In a world where minds are loud but hearts are quiet, we are being asked to reverse the order, to lead from love instead of fear, to listen to intuition instead of noise. living in harmony with Lemurian wisdom. In our fast-paced modern world, the Lemurian way reminds us that presence is a portal. When we are fully here in this moment, we are aligned with the divine. The Lemurians believed in living in harmony with the rhythm of life, waking with the sun, honoring the cycles of the moon, planting intentions with the seasons, and listening to the energy of each day. They understood that everything is energy, and when you live in balance, energy flows, life flows, and healing happens naturally. They also believed in the sacredness of community, not in the sense of social groups or followers, but in soul connections. Lemurians lived in deep unity, where no one was above or below, where every soul had a unique role, and where helping each other grow was the greatest purpose. In today's world, this wisdom reminds us to look beyond surface differences and to remember that beneath the masks and fears, we are all beings of light. And when we come together in truth, miracles happen, awakening the Lemurian flame. Within one of the most beautiful aspects of Lemurian wisdom is the idea that we carry ancient codes within our DNA, memories, gifts, and spiritual power that have been dormant, waiting for the right time to awaken. And now, in this time of global transformation, many people are beginning to feel that stirring, the desire to reconnect with something much larger than the material world. If you're drawn to this message, you are being called to awaken your Lemurian flame. It's time to remember your soul's origin and purpose.